Hello and welcome to yet another video in S3 course. In this video, we'll look at S3 encryption. We'll look at 5 different things. Why do we need encryption? 5 different ways to encrypt objects in S3. We'll look at server-side encryption and client-side encryption. We'll also see how to use encryption headers to encrypt using the CLI or code. And then we'll see how to perform encryption using the console. So let's get started. Let's start with the bucket. So here we have an S3 bucket. And on the other side, we have the user. We also have the AWS environment. Let's consider this box as the AWS environment. Within the AWS environment, we have the S3 bucket. We also have the KMS service, which is the key management service. Now, when the user tries to upload or download an object, the S3 layer first does encryption on this. Let's say this is the S3 layer. Before the object is written to the bucket, the S3 layer attempts encryption. To perform encryption, the S3 layer would need a key. Where does it get the key from? There are 4 different ways in which it can get the key. The first way is that S3 itself creates a key, and this is called as S3 managed keys. So our key is here, and this key is used by the S3 layer. Before S3 uploads the object, the encryption layer would encrypt the object using this key, and then it writes to the bucket. Now the second way is to store the key in KMS. In KMS, there are 2 different ways to store the key. So this first is AWS managed, and the second is customer managed. In the first case, AWS would create the key for you, and then the encryption engine uses that key. In the second method, you as a customer would upload the key material and then create a key in KMS itself, and then the encryption engine would use that key. So far, we have seen 3 ways. First way is for the S3 layer itself to create a key. Second and third is to create a key in KMS, either using AWS generated keys or customer generated keys. The fourth way is called server-side encryption with client keys. In this case, you as a client would generate a key, and then you pass this key when you're trying to upload the object. In this case, the key is used by the encryption engine internally to encrypt the object and then write to the bucket. Whenever you want to retrieve the object, you'll have to pass the same key again and then retrieve the object. So these are the 4 ways in which server-side encryption works. To recap, the first way is to use S3 managed keys. The second way is to use AWS managed keys within KMS. The third is to use customer managed keys within KMS. And the fourth is to use customer's key own keys and pass that keys along with all the requests. The fifth way is to use client-side encryption. In this case, the key is never passed to the AWS layer at all. The customer itself would use that key and encrypt the object and then send the encrypted object to the bucket directly. And no encryption would occur in the AWS layer. So these are the ways in which you can perform encryption in S3. You can look at the blog for a complete description of all the 5 ways. We saw how different kinds of encryption works. Let's look at some more details. To perform server-side encryption using Amazon S3 managed keys via code, you need to pass the XMS server-side encryption header. You can then write a bucket policy that denies upload requests that do not contain this header. When you're using AWS KMS, if you go to AWS managed keys, you should be able to see a key called AWS S3 if you are using Amazon managed keys. If you're using server-side encryption using keys in KMS, then you need to pass XAMZ server-side encryption header, and that header has to have a value of AWS KMS. You can then pass the header XMS server-side encryption AWS KMS key ID to specify the ID of the key that you're going to use. If you're using server-side encryption using keys that you manage on your own, then this Python code will help you upload and download objects. So to put object, you pass in a flag called SSE customer key, and this has the value of the key that you want to pass. And then you say specify the algorithm that you're going to use, and this is going to be AES 256. Now when you want to get object, you similarly specify the customer key and the algorithm that you want to use to get that object. Client-side encryption is quite straightforward. You use your own code to encrypt the object, and you can use either your own key or you can also use AWS managed keys. So in this case, you'll have to use the AWS SDK and the key that is managed in AWS, and then make a call to get that key and then encrypt your own object. Before I end, let me show you how to enable encryption wherein uploading the object using the console. So if you click on S3 and then click on the bucket and click on upload. If you scroll down, you can specify the encryption in the properties. So here you can specify whether you want an encryption key or not. So here you can specify what encryption you want for server-side encryption. So if you specify a key, you have the option of either using the S3 key, or you can say that I'm going to use the KMS key. And in that case, you can use the AWS managed key, or you can use your own KMS key. Now, if you want to ensure that by default your bucket encrypts all objects that are uploaded, then you go to Properties, scroll down and click on Edit in Default Encryption. Here you can say that by default I want to enable encryption, and then again you can specify either an S3 key or a KMS key and either AWS managed key or your own key. So whenever you upload an object, it's going to be encrypted using this key. However, if you specify a different header, then that header is used for encryption. So that's it. In this video, we looked at how to encrypt objects in Amazon S3. It's always a very good idea to turn on encryption because that adds another layer of security to your S3 bucket. See you in the next video.